You know what time it is. Throw your hands up. Put your hands up. Ladies and gentlemen.
This is for you, Ben Stiller.
Did you just turn on a metronome for that part of the song?
Oh, the metronome is on. My bad.
The timing was perfect.
Welcome to Story Builders.
Chocolate Star. Oh, right. Welcome to Story Builders.
Chocolate. No.
No.
Don't bring that up.
Chocolate Starfish.
Don't bring it up for two. Stop it.
It's a great album.
It is. Okay, I listened to Limp Bizkit when I was a kid.
Dude,
I listened to the
everybody
first
listens
two.
to Limp Bizkit.
That's true. I listened to the first two albums, and then Chocolate Starfish came out, and I was like, I'm done with this, because he whined so much, and he had this weird like thing with Ben Stiller all over it, and I was like, I don't get it.
I forgot about that.
And I was just like, you guys aren't really good anymore. But now Fred Durst is a director for movies.
Oh, really?
Little indie films that you never see, but he makes a really good living off of it. And
good for him.
Yeah.
What a transition.
Totally.
Who would have thought that the guy who did Roland would be an indie film director?
Yeah.
I wonder if he goes out before the movie screens and he goes, now I know y'all be loving this.
Wow.
Right here.
I'm sure he'd feel his soul crack a little bit doing that.
Probably.
Yeah.
I'd do it.
For many reasons.
I'd do it if I were Fred Durst.
Wow.
You can't mess with Limp Bizkit? Sorry. I do have that whole song memorized.
My first editing thing ever was... We'll get to story building in a minute.
Oh, here we go.
Yeah, I feel like
Deep
the first
dive.
10 minutes or so is just going to be blah. Just word vomit.
Vomit of what our lives are like.
Yeah, or whatever else. The very first video thing I ever did was editing on a 2-track tape system of an anime music video just before they got popular.
Oh my goodness.
In the 90s, yeah. And I did it to Dragon Ball Z, Rurouni Kenshin, and the song was Break Stuff.
Yes. Now, when you say a 2-tape system, do you mean a cassette tape system?
Video VHS, yeah.
Wow. So you had the actual VHS tapes and you edited them together.
Yep.
That's hardcore.
Yeah.
That is like...
It was when digital was just getting started. And we did have digital systems, but my high school teacher in my AV class, which is why I love Stranger Things when they're in AV. I'm like, yeah, I was in AV.
Oh, my goodness gracious. You're such an AV nerd.
Yeah, I'm an editor for a living. Hopefully soon to be podcaster, filmmaker for a living.
Bum, bum, bum.
Dun, 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 dun. Check out our Patreon. Dun, 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 dun.
It's
Patreon.
so subtle
Patreon.
when we whisper it
Patreon.
while someone else is singing. So you were AV Club nerd.
AV Club nerd, and then did that edit, and that was the very first thing I edited. And I did like 3 or 4 more music videos. I did Carmina Burana. Dun, 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 dun. Dun, 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 dun. Dun, 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 dun. I did that to Gundam Wing.
Oh my god!
Whatever was on Toonami at the time.
Space opera.
Yeah.
Dude.
And man, you watch Gundam Wing today, and it's like it's ridiculous.
I mean,
that anime is
it's in a different zone.
It's a soap opera with giant robots.
It is, which is perfect.
It was ridiculous.
Come on.
But anyways, that was the very first editing things I did. I don't know why I'm talking about that, but
well, you know, shout out to you because now all AMV, all they have to do now for an anime music video is to just pull clips from the internet, and it is probably
much
thousands
easier.
of years easier than
Much
what you were
easier.
doing. So. Yep. Props to your first AMVs because that sounds like a lot of work.
Yeah, I feel like we did it on our lunch breaks, me and my friend Jonathan, and it was great. It was so much fun. It was so much more fun than me sitting down there in the lunchroom and just eating my food and dealing with potential bullies coming up to me and making fun of me.
So you just made
more
fuel for them making fun of you, AMVs?
No. Actually, people really liked it. That was when I realized that I was like, oh, this might be what I want to do.
That's awesome. Yeah. I love that. That's so cool.
Yeah.
Do you still? Can we watch those?
Totally, not right now.
Can we link them in the tabs to this video?
I'll link them in the description.
Yes.
They are on YouTube. Why not? You can see all the other things I did when I was.
Bring it out.
Yeah. And I even had my friend who was doing 3D graphics at the time, who had super rich parents and gave him all this super expensive stuff. He made me this graphic of my logo from my very first company called Pointless Productions.
Oh my gosh!
And I made sure that it was PP.
Well, how far you have come, Sir Justin.
Yes, I went from Pointless Productions to Gathering Place Productions because when I lived in Hawaii, that Oahu means gathering place.
Right.
And then when I left Hawaii, I was like, it's not Hawaiian. It doesn't really work for me. So, I, through a long story, which I won't get into right now, Broad Strokes Productions.
Can you give me the broad strokes of that story?
Get out of here.
I can't leave. I am literally attached to this table.
He's nailed down.
I've been here for years.
That's what the beard is for.
I know.
I feed you Reading Rainbow.
Take a look. It's in a book.
Say it again.
Take a look.
Sing it to me, and I might let you go.
Called Reading Rainbow. I can go anywhere.
So I was in college, and I was rooming with a former friend of mine, and lesson to you young people, don't live with your best friends. Might not turn out good. Might mess up your friendship. So we were in a fight, and this dude who I hated, and he was like becoming my ex-friend's new best friend.
Oh.
And this dude was like shutting me out, he was moderating our argument, and he was saying like, Justin never cleans up his stuff, which was true. I didn't. I was not a great roommate. I was kind of dirty.
But now you are honest with yourselves. We were all dirty at one point in time in our life.
Maybe. Depends on who you ask.
That's true.
But
we've all pooped ourselves. We were all babies.
I remember saying something like the guy was saying you miss all the little details, and the moderator said, well, maybe Justin thinks in broad strokes. I was like, oh, I kind of like that from this guy I hate.
That you hate this guy, and that
I took his idea.
Is what you're like, yeah, that's what I'll use.
It's about the music, not the musician.
There you go. It's about the art, not the artist.
Yeah.
Full circle.
Right. So I liked that, and I was like, I kind of weave that in, and I looked around like, do any major companies call themselves Broad Strokes? Nope, nobody did. So I took it.
Nice.
Took it ish. I haven't even registered as a company.
Don't tell anybody now.
No, it's fine because I don't know, like. It just kind of like fit my persona of like thinking of big ideas, and then narrowing them down and making them more detailed later. So
that's kind of what we do here. Actually, that's what we're trying to do in this episode.
Right. So that's
taking my amazing treatment done in bullet points.
Yes. And
narrowing it down to an actual treatment, which has words and ideas in it.
And now we are at the point in this story where we have started writing out scene cards.
Yes.
And it's based roughly off the formula of Blake Snyder's Save the Cat.
Right, Save the Cat.
And we got
out.
through Act 1. And now we are going to get through Act 2 and hopefully Act 3.
Yeah, we will, because we are awesome.
Yes.
And we have a computer.
Yeah.
We have the technology.
And our story is Toph finds herself in Daredevil's universe.
Yes.
And they find themselves having to fight off Gozer, the Gozerian, from...
Gozerian is a race.
From Ghostbusters.
Gozer the Gozerian.
I think that's what it's called.
Yeah, that sounds...
There's also Gozer the Destroyer, and a couple other things.
She's the last of her kind.
Something like that.
We should do more Gozer research. Gozer search.
Yeah, we before I start writing this, I'm basically gonna give myself a rundown throughout. Watch Ghostbusters 1 and 2 again.
You don't have to.
Why?
Gozer's not in the second one.
Well, I mean, oh yeah, that's true.
I mean, feel free to watch the second one.
Okay, fine. I'll watch the first one. And also Gozer has been mentioned in other cultures before.
Really?
So, yeah, for sure.
We'll have to do some Gozer search.
Gozer search.
Gozer watch.
Gozer research.
Yeah.
It ends with an R. Doesn't really work.
Gozer research.
All right.
That was better. The fart noise at the end really tied it all in.
It tied the room together. So where we're at is, let's see. Scene 1, Interior Convention Center, A Tale of Two Cities. I want to make sure the reporter says that. It starts
Right.
out with a news reporter
Right.
is at these two conventions that are back-to-back, right next to each other in the same convention center. She goes to the cult con first, talks to a sorcerer who is selling a new book.
Technically a doctor.
They don't get along. Sorcerer does an incantation, releases Gozer, who possesses the reporter.
Right.
Scene 2 is the other side of the convention center. She goes to the Comic-Con, not the Occult Con. And it's
Comic-Con?
Gozer, who has possessed this person, walks through Comic-Con, summons Toph. We don't know how yet. We need to figure that out.
Well, we know how she reaches into an alternate reality and pulls
Right,
her
but
out.
we were
why.
like, was that...
Oh, right. That's what we were...
Can
Yeah.
Gozer actually do that? So we need
Which
to...
we... I think this is what it's all about.
Yeah. So Toph gets scared, Earth bends, cops come in and subdue her.
Somehow. They're awesome cops.
Scene 3, exterior courthouse. Matt Murdock comes out of a successful case, gets a call from Foggy telling him about Toph. 4, interior police station. Matt gets into a police station, meets Toph, legalezes her way out. Convinces Toph not to earthbend in exchange for getting her home.
There you go.
Exterior city street. Scene 5, good moment of character building.
Why do you walk with that weird cane?
Yeah.
You're so loud.
How can you earthbend? Like, are you mutant? Were you born this way?
Right. Where's your home?
I learned it from the Voles. Yeah, okay. Let's get you home. Scene 6, interior subway station. Gozer feeds on the power, turns on the lights.
Turns out the lights.
Causes a disturbance with a creature trying to subdue everyone. She notices Toph and Matt fight the monster. Gets the cops to attack Matt and Toph so she can escape. Matt fights off the cops.
Do we need that? Do we really need that? If
I always thought, okay, so I guess and this is all we've come up with so far, so I don't need to keep going.
Yeah.
I initially was like, yeah, I want to see him fight off the cops because it proves that he's something more than a blind person. But if he's fighting the monster, that does the exact same thing.
Right. So I think we can just have them fighting the monster.
Yeah, I think it can start out.
Black.
I think it's still a good idea for it to start out, like we said before, of Matt Murdock escorting people out of a pitch black area, and she can be like, "How are you even doing this?"
Sure. That's like the first building idea where she's like, "Wait,
right?
I mean, but you're like super blind."
Right.
Also, they wouldn't even know the lights have gone out until people around them are like, "Oh, I can't see."
Yeah.
And also, their cell phones should be dead too if she's pulling in power from that area. So no cell phone lights.
If she's doing it wirelessly. Yeah, sure.
I mean, if she's sucking power out of the line,
yeah, she would grab onto it. So she'd have to grab onto each and every cell phone. You know what I mean?
I could believe that if she's harnessing the energy of the third line, which is a lot of volts, the charge that would be off of her body could gather in other charges from cell phones and watches and things.
Okay. Yeah, that's fine. That's a new rule.
I could buy that. Well, because we have to do it, otherwise everybody's going to turn their cell phone light on.
True.
And then it's not pitch black.
Fair. Okay, so we'll use that, and we'll hold on to it for later.
Yeah.
Okay. Cool. We're still in first act-ish, so it's okay to add stuff, but once we're like in the heart of the second act, adding new things is a little dangerous.
Agreed, but that's something we have to be aware of, is like those little things as well.
Sure.
Like, it can't be pitch black. If you were stuck in a pitch black room, what's the first thing you would do?
Turn on the light.
Right.
You're right. Okay, fair. I like it. All right, so let's take out that. But she still gets the cops to attack them so she can escape.
But if it's pitch black and they're fighting the monster, she can just be like, well, they're fighting my monster and I don't have enough power to generate another one, so I should bounce.
So the cops thing is just out.
Yeah, I don't think we need it.
Okay, fine. She escapes. I'm fine with that. Don't need to argue that one. Where are we going next?
Well,
Matt's apartment?
Okay.
I mean, they could keep walking because now they can't use the subway station.
Well, they're going to have to come to terms with what the hell just happened. Matt doesn't want her to get riled up with more cops because she's literally on bail because of him.
Mm-hmm.
So he has to get her out of that situation. Otherwise, she's going to go right back to the holding cell.
So, you know what might be fun, audibly, is if they're talking let's say they go into an alleyway. They're trying not to get attention. And she's like, there's something different about you. You need to admit it. And Matt eventually says, okay, yes, I have these powers. But we need to lay low for a minute because what's happening is that right around the same time that these people found you, and they might correlate. So let's just get to my apartment and get out of here. And she's like, well, how are we going to do that if we can't walk around the streets? And he's like, well, we can run around the rooftops.
That could be fun.
We can have a fun little rooftop jumping scene.
I think...
And it's just, like running up the walls and going up the ladders, and she's like holding onto his back, and she kind of is getting an idea of like how this works, and then she starts getting ideas, and maybe they kind of like do a little bit of working together.
I have a couple amendments to that.
Okay.
I think immediately after Gozer leaves, Toph is going to want to follow her.
Yeah.
So that can be Toph runs outside to follow her. Matt pulls her into the alleyway and is like, you can't.
Okay.
If you get caught by the cops trying to follow her, they're going to put you right back in jail, and I can't have you do that. And she's like, it's our responsibility to catch this lady.
Right.
And then I was thinking of this crazy idea where Toph doesn't necessarily trust Matt yet. So they can get into a little fight.
Not a physical one.
Where she's testing him to see if he can actually react. Because they fought this monster together. She's pretty positive he's not blind. Mm-hmm. She's like, you're more than just some... She wouldn't even know what a lawyer is. You're more than just some, like, I don't know, noble. Mm-hmm. And he's like, that's not important. And she's like, I don't trust you. And then they get into a little scuffle. And then Matt ends it finally, where they kind of feel each other's powers out. And he's like, we can't do this here.
Right.
If you want to catch her... we have to go be smart.
Right.
So then that's when they're like, let's go back to my place, and they go up to the rooftops and get that way. I like that.
Okay. I like that. Yeah. So basically it's Matt pulls Toph into alleyway. They talk through who Matt is. She proves Matt is superhuman. Mm-hmm. They both agree.
I don't, because I don't think she'd trust him if he's lying to her right now. Mm-hmm. She would want to, suss him out and fight him and not want to go with him until she trusts him.
Okay. I like that. Okay, that's fine.
I mean, it could even be Matt is chasing Toph over rooftops.
I don't want it to be. I don't want to do too much chasing. I mean, you could maybe.
'Cause it could be a really fun way to audibly explore how they're using their powers in that moment. Like, I don't think Toph would want to use rooftops because there's really a disadvantage for her. Because she's farther away from the earth, but there's so much.
There's earth under her. It's brick.
There's so much more going on the ground that it's harder for her to focus. Mm-hmm. So she would want to go to the rooftop, so it's a little more isolated, I would think.
That's interesting. Maybe it can be like they're in the alleyway, and he's like, "You can't be this way," and she's like, "There's something different about you," and he's like, "No, there isn't," and she's like, "Okay, fine," and then runs off. And
knocks
Matt is
him
like,
down.
"Come back here," and Toph works her way, earth bends her way up to a building, and she's like, "You gonna come get me or what?" And he's like, "God damn it!"
And every time,
and just jumps up onto the building and does cool moves, and gets to the rooftop, and she's like, "I guess you are something more." And he's like, "Fine, whatever. We just gotta get to my apartment."
Also, every time she earthbends that way, she's going to be disrupting like power lines and gas lines and things like that she doesn't have. And I think Matt needs to tell her that when he gets up there.
That's a good idea. I like that too. Creating more disruptions than she meant to.
Right.
Yeah. With superhuman powers. I'm just writing stuff down, folks. Sorry. I'll try not to keep...
This podcast is so fun.
Yeah, he'll sing to you while I write.
Oh, man. I'm going to croon everybody.
Okay, so we got the alleyway / rooftop scene. Now let's get them to Matt's apartment.
Yes.
I always imagined Toph getting there and hearing the sound of fluorescent light and being like, what is that?
She can't hear the sound of fluorescent light.
If you and I can hear the sound of fluorescent light, then she can.
Oh, I guess that's true. It'd be like the hum of a TV, but she couldn't see it.
Right.
And Matt would have gotten used to it anyways.
I mean, it'd be kind of, I'd have to find the right word. It's like, what is that sound? It's like, oh, that's the fluorescent light. And she's like, it sounds really bright.
Sounds bright.
Yeah.
Or we could do the opposite, because everybody walks into Matt's apartment and is like, oh, God.
Right.
Because they can all see. And she can walk in and be like, it's a big place. I like it.
How do women deal with that when it comes to when she sleeps with him? When they sleep with
Toph
him?
is not sleeping with Matt.
Of course not.
It was just weird that the way you worded that was
my God.
weird. I'm just making sure that that's not happening.
God. No.
Yeah, it just was weird. The way
Thanks
it
for bringing
came
that
out.
up. Made me
You
sound
just
like a
said
total
it.
pervert.
No, it was just weird.
Appreciate that.
But I understand when like Electra sleeps with him, or
Yeah.
like the
And then just
what's her
none of
face?
them can fall asleep because of this terrible light.
They're not doing a lot of sleeping, Justin.
I know that, but still, I was just thinking of a what if, and then he turned it pervert.
Well, it was so interesting. You just weren't
pretty pigeons
specific.
outside.
What?
Made you look. All right.
Damn it! Every time.
Every time.
No, I don't know. Maybe they put a pillow. You should put a pillow over your head, for God's sakes. It's not the end of the world.
All right.
Or get an eye mask.
It's about to be the end of the world because Gozer is taking over the world.
Gozer the Gozerian.
I don't know where I'm trying to segue this. Let's just get to why she's there. All right. So what are they talking about while they're there? They basically, we need to, with the Truby story building process, we need to get to the point of where they're planning. They're starting to make a plan.
Right. Okay.
So I feel like at this moment, they need to talk about, okay, how'd you get here? Where'd you come from? Where did you end up before you were taken by cops? Yeah. And she can mention, well, I was in this place full of weird people, and they kept complimenting me on that I look just like Toph. I am Toph. They're like, wait, they recognized you? And she'd be like, yeah, I have no idea why. It's like, okay, well, did they say anything else? Like, yeah, they mentioned Aang too. I don't know how they know this. And he's like, I know Aang. I've heard of Aang. I've heard of The Last Airbender. And she's like, how do you know that? She's like, it's a TV show. And she could be like, oh my God, okay, my brain is exploding. And then he can come to the conclusion like, okay, you were at Comic-Con, which is still going on. So what else was there? There was an occult con. And you got to understand that Matt has the brain for this because he's seen other crazy shit.
Well, he's seen other mutants and he's seen other people with powers.
And since it's in the MCU, he saw Avengers. He saw these things come through a portal. Right. So his brain can be open to the fact that she might have come from some kind of portal. And then he's like, you were at a Comic-Con. What else was the Comic-Con? The Occult Con. Okay.
She wouldn't know that. Toph wouldn't know the occult con's going on, but he would. I see what you're saying. I see what you're saying.
Yeah, he's putting two and two together.
So who was that lady?
That's when he decides that he needs to go to the occult con, which is still going, and start asking questions.
Okay. I like that. Here's my take on it. Mm-hmm. I think when they get into the apartment, Toph's first conversation is going to be, who is that lady? And like, where the hell am I? Mm-hmm. And Matt is going to say, well, that lady's not really any of our business. You're in New York City. And Toph's going to say, no, that lady is our business because she just almost hurt a bunch of people, including us. Yeah. And what is New York City? And then that way Matt can be like, keep saying, no, we don't need to worry about her. This is where you are. Where did you come from? Mm-hmm. And then I think Toph should be pulled right out of something. And immediately when she gets there, Max should ask her, like, why did you react that way? I think it's because she's overwhelmed. She can say, do you know, like, she could mention the Fire Nation, things that is in her lexicon. Mm-hmm. She can be like, oh, I mean, we just defeated the Fire Nation and we're
at the police station now?
No, we're in Matt's apartment.
Oh, okay, yeah.
She could say, we just defeated the Fire Nation. Everything was going great.
So he can, like, basically be questioning her.
That's like, I don't know.
Get to know more about her.
Right, what is this fight? And she's like, and then I just was in this room with things and people I didn't recognize, and it's so loud under my feet that this feels like a Fire Nation attack. And then Matt has to be like, okay, look, we don't have a Fire Nation. Yeah. Let me,
I was thinking that would happen more in the police station.
Okay.
Because that is where she's trying to reason with her and being like, there's no Fire Nation. She can be like, I don't believe you. It's like, really?
Well, she wouldn't believe him still until the alley.
Right, but he can say, I think that he can believe, I think that moment in the police station, the only way that Toph is going to cooperate is if Matt convinces her thoroughly enough that she's not in the Fire Nation, she is somewhere totally different, and needs to go home, and he's going to try and help.
Okay, I buy that, but I still think Toph thinks it's a Fire Nation trick when she leaves the police station.
Then why would she play along with Matt?
Because it gets her out of this box that she's in, and she has more opportunities to escape.
And she'd run away immediately.
Well, no, because
I want her to trust Matt just enough to stick around. I want her to believe him.
Believe him that he
not
can
trust him,
home.
but certainly not think, okay, this might still be a Fire Nation trick.
But she's so discerning like that. She's very hard to trust people.
That's fine. She can have a hard time trusting people, but I think enough craziness that is not in her ballpark can happen that makes her go, okay, maybe I'm not in a Fire Nation or any kind of thing.
All right, maybe that can be Matt's way to get through to her. Be like, do you recognize any of this? Do you know any of these things? Like,
right.
No, you're
None
not
of it makes
home.
sense.
I don't know.
And also by the end of Avatar, the Fire Nation was back on track with everybody else. And there might be rogue elements, but that's like a whole, that's another like world building thing.
Yeah, but the thing is, this is just after the war ended. And,
right.
And the Fire Lord was depowered.
Right.
So she can still think this is like a rogue cell of the Fire Nation trying to feign peace.
And she can bring that up, but I think that's that's her rational brain trying to explain why things are so strange, and then Matt explains with enough logic to make Toph go, okay, this is not the Fire Nation, this isn't even where I'm from, this is something totally different.
You know, it could be funny.
What?
I like where this is, where they have this conversation in the police station.
Mm-hmm.
That's fine. I think when they get to the apartment, Matt can want to do a little more research, so he calls Foggy up on the phone and is like, Foggy, what was going, like, do you know anything about these things that I'm saying to you? And he's like, are you talking about Avatar: The Last Airbender? The like show on Nickelodeon?
Mm-hmm.
And Matt's like, the what? And he puts Foggy on the phone with Toph, and they talk for a second, and Toph goes, who is this? What is, like...
Yeah.
And then Matt's like...
That conversation would happen in Matt's apartment.
Yeah, in Matt's apartment. I jumped. I jumped back to Matt's apartment, because I like the police station. I like that he convinces her by being like, look, you're not... Trust me, because nothing makes sense.
Right.
And so in Matt's apartment, then they're like, okay, so how did you get here? And then they can look, he can be like, hey, Foggy, what was going on at the convention center? And Foggy can say, oh, there's an occult convention there as well. You're not going to do anything Daredevil-y, right? And he's like, no, I just want to get this child home. And he's like, what? And then he hangs up on Foggy. You know, but Matt is very much, that conversation works in a couple ways. It helps give exposition so Matt knows who Toph is in her universe.
Yeah.
And it's a chance for Foggy to say, you're not going to do any more Daredevil-y things.
I think Toph is, Foggy's nerdy enough to know Last Airbender. Was he that kind of guy?
Sure.
Okay. Fair.
He's nerdier than Matt.
Yeah, that's
true. And he can actually watch TV.
Yeah, that's true.
Matt can listen to TV.
Yeah, but he usually doesn't because TV requires visuals.
Yeah.
Okay. So, excuse me.
You're excused. Never again.
Yes, sir. Anyways, okay. So let's see. Let me bring up my program again. Terry Matt's apartment.
Bring up
Matt gets to know.
Justin's typing on the laptop.
Matt gets to know the world of Avatar
through Foggy Nelson's brain box.
Foggy.
And Foggy gets a little freaked out that he's talking to Toph.
Right. Deduces that Toph appeared at the Comic-Con. And there was an occult con
also
happening at the same time.
There could be, I think at this point, Matt just thinks that she is a rogue mutant, like special person.
Yeah.
But then when he hears from Foggy and then he talks to Toph and he says, tell me something that Foggy wouldn't know.
Yeah.
About your world.
Mm-hmm.
And then he kind of tests Toph.
Mm-hmm.
And he's like, oh man. You're actually from this, like, universe.
Well, I think it would be more that, tell me something about your world. Tell me about a major event in your world that happened at A meets B. And then I'm going to put Foggy on hold.
Mm-hmm.
And then she says it, and then
but that could just
Foggy
mean that she's
says,
a really good fan.
That's true.
That's not a good lie detector test.
No, but I know it needs to be something that both of them would know, though.
If you're doing a litmus test for her and she's not just a big fan who's also a mutant, then I would say, tell me what it was like when the Fire Nation attacked your home.
Okay.
And then Toph can launch into the story of like what happened when the Fire Nation attacked and what happened with her parents and her.
Maybe. And the thing is that like that puts an element of like reminding us that the Fire Nation is bad, and they became a better nation by the end of the series. So I would want it to be something. Okay, so let's just say, does litmus test that convinces Matt enough
that she is actually from a different world.
Right.
Also, something that we can explore with this as well is that in The Legend of Korra, Toph is accepting of all nations.
Yep.
But she has to get to that point. I mean, think about how hard it is. Like, obviously, Zuko becomes their friend.
She was
and, like,
born
works with them.
a few generations after all four nations.
Right, but
were in harmony.
Still been in a war of like.
She was born way after that it was over.
No, Toph.
Oh, Toph. Okay.
So Toph, like she obviously had Zuko or whatever, who was a firebender, who was a good guy, and she kind of learns to not be prejudiced that way.
Mm-hmm.
But this is a way for her to accept like all firebenders and like work to bring peace with everybody.
Right. She actually had a little bit of a crush on him, if I remember.
I have to do some more research on that.
Yeah.
But yeah, maybe. So I think this can be a way, Matt can help her quell her paranoia and give her ideas to like help bring people together through this.
Okay. I like it. Cool. So we basically have does the litmus test, decides that Matt is fully convinced, and they decide to go to the occult con because it's still going on. Like cons last a few days.
Yeah. This was on a Saturday, and they'll go on the Sunday when everybody's back.
Go on a Sunday, right? That's good.
They can get in for free.
Okay. Occult con. Well, you can say he's a lawyer or something. I don't know. Get him legalese himself again.
Legalese.
Uses some legal BS that he knows none of these nerds will even try and question.
That is so out of his character to just lie to their faces.
I don't know. Like if he needs to get in somewhere.
I mean, he would sneak in first before, like, I think, lying to people.
Maybe he wouldn't get a warrant. He's not a detective. Okay, we need to figure out the how of getting into the occult con. But let's say it works. He gets into the occult con. He's going to be questioning somebody.
Yeah, he's going to find the doctor.
The person who did the summoning.
Right.
Okay. So, starts...
He would probably ask around if, like, anybody was injured or if anybody sensed anything weird.
Okay, so starts asking around, meets the sorcerer. Why are we calling him the doctor again?
Because he's a doctor.
No, he's not. Why? What?
Right. Because I feel like this guy got his PhD in like occult magic and demands that people call him a doctor and wrote a book on ritual magic and actually found some ritual. Now he wants to publish it. And so Gozer wants to come through and make sure he doesn't publish the book so she can gain full power. Because if he publishes the book and everybody starts using the ritual magic in there, her magic is going to be dispersed.
Okay. That's creating another bunch of rules.
Right.
And it's got to be simpler than that.
Okay.
I don't think she should worry about him anymore.
No,
she's here, and she wants to gain power.
Yes.
So let's just stick with that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was just creating a story for this guy.
I like the idea that he wants to be taken seriously.
Yes.
That's fine. That's cool. And he used a summoning spell. Didn't think it would work. Mm-hmm. And he probably didn't even notice that it didn't work. That it did work.
No, he has to notice because then they're going to go and ask him questions. And he's going to be like, this reporter lady.
Yeah. Okay, yeah, that's true. So meets the sorcerer, says he got her possessed, basically.
He said he did. She took the book, right? We have that down?
I think I don't think so. I think she shouldn't have the book because if she has the book, then she has access to a lot of power right off the bat. Yeah. I think he should hold on to the book.
Okay, I like that. I think they can use the book to send her back.
Yes, because as long as they have the book, they can use it as the power to get her, put her back where she was. So starts asking around, meets the sorcerer, says he got her possessed, and then Matt basically says, "You're coming with us?"
Well, he's gonna ask him like, "Well, what do you think she's looking for? Like, how can we find her?"
Yeah. Okay, so says he got her possessed. Matt understands Gozer's motivation.
Yeah, get through this guy and like, what would she need? And he would probably say like power. You know, any sort of power would do, but she needs like large amounts of energy.
Okay. Okay, cool.
We could do it that way.
Matt understands Gozer's so that's fine. The details are we'll get into that, but basically Matt comes to understand Gozer's motivation. So what's his next plan of action?
Find a big place of power that she would go to gather more energy.
Okay, but like, would they take him with them? I mean, he needs them. They need him around.
They don't know necessarily. Here's how we should organize this. So, Matt and Toph should talk and decide a couple things. Toph is actually from another dimension, and that they need to stop this woman. Because right now, Matt's only goal is to get Toph home. Toph needs to convince him she's not going home until this woman is stopped, and it's their duty.
Oh, yeah, so he would bring up that, like, you should create a spell to get Toph home right now.
Well, what I was getting at is that Matt would say, okay, fine. I agree to pick up my Daredevil mask to do this one thing if you agree to go home. And she says, sure. So then they research. Why did she attack the power? Like, what was she getting? She was getting power. So then Matt kind of tunes into the news and hears that more power stations around New York are being like affected. There's like rolling brownouts.
Yeah.
So then they go together to a new power station and to confront Gozer.
Yeah.
And this is when Gozer does the incorporeal beast that they can't fight. They can't see.
Okay. So this is like the second fight.
They have the second fight before they go to the occult guy.
Okay, so like they're talking. No, I think after the occult guy. Okay, so they go to the occult guy. They talk to him. They get information, and I feel like that Matt hears that he brought these people through a portal from another dimension, and he's like, "Can you put people back?" And he's like, "Yeah, I guess. Like, how about her?" And she's like, "Well, what about Gozer?" She's like, "I'll deal with Gozer." She's like, "No, you can't just like drop me off. Like, let's finish this." And he's like, "No, you want to go home, right?" It's like, "Not until we get this done." And he's like, "I'll handle it. I want to do it." It's like, "You're going to need my help." And he's like, "I don't need your help. I don't want your help." And he's like, she's like, "You don't have a choice. We're doing this together, and you're taking my lead. So let's figure this out. I'm not going home until we figure this out and Gozer's taken care of. Because Gozer's here and so am I, so let's take care of it." And then before Matt can continue arguing, the rolling brownout starts, and the con is affected. And they're like, "What's going on?" And they turn on the news and they hear that one of the power plants in New York is getting sucked.
Went offline
or something like that. So they're like, she's like, "Let's go check it out." It's like, "But you could go home right now." It's like, "No, we're going right now. Let's check it out and bring him with us." He's like, "I'm not a part of this." It's like, "You are now." So they run off. They go to the power plant, and they see Gozer's there eating more power.
Right.
So they're like, "We have to do something about this." And he's like, "I don't know what you want me to do." She's sitting up, sucking up power. So Toph starts using her powers and starts fighting her off. And then she starts using her powers. Gozer starts using her powers to fight against both Toph and Daredevil.
Right.
Which ends in a failure. It has to end in a failure.
Yeah, for the heroes.
Right. And then the next scene needs to be them regrouping and getting into a bit of an emotional fight between each other, and then kind of coming to blows with each other intellectually, and then somehow they need to come to the conclusion that, okay, we're going to see through this to the end, and then they come to the conclusion that come to the realization that Gozer is after Stark Tower.
Right.
And they're like, okay, we have to do this, or it's going to create monolithic-sized consequences.
Right. I'm with you.
And that's when they're like, "I'm on board."
Right. I'm with you most of the way for that. But the thing with Matt that we're dealing with in this story is that he wants to go from not wanting to be Daredevil to being Daredevil. So for him to go to the occult guy and say, no, you go home and I'll take care of it, is too early in the story for me. Because he wants to think that the cops can take care of it. He doesn't want to have to do it as Daredevil. He made a promise.
Okay. Yeah.
So
I'm down for that.
I would rather have it be... I'd rather have it be Toph saying, I'm going to go do this, and if you promise to take care of me as my legal counsel, that's where I'm going to be. And she takes off.
That's good.
And I like the fact that they go fight Gozer first before the occult guy, because that sets them up for failure already, because they don't know how to send her back through any sort of portal. Which could be one of the things Matt says to her. We don't even know how to, like, end this girl. So Matt goes there and watches Toph fight, realizes he has to go there as Daredevil, changes into Daredevil, tries to help her. They both lose. Mm-hmm. Matt saves Toph, or Toph saves Matt. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
And then they go to, and that's like, we need to do more thinking, more research. We can't just run in and do things. So let's...
My only issue is that if the rolling brownouts happen, then the con is going to be shut down, and they're not going to have nearly as many people to question.
Well, there's a couple ways we could deal with that. Rolling blackouts don't have to affect an entire area. They can affect districts.
Yeah.
Wherever the power station is located. And also, if this guy is the guy that craves attention, he would stay at the con saying, like, I've brought this, I've caused this, you know, this is all because of my magic.
I just think that there's too little time between fights. They're in a fight at the subway station. They get to Matt's apartment. They're talking. They go to deal with another fight.
Well, that's a very tough thing to do, though.
But I'm talking about the pacing of the story.
Right.
You need to give people time to calm down. You need to give time to give people intrigue. And as far as story structure goes, it really makes sense for the midpoint where the heroes get caught off balance to happen after the occult scene. So the occult scene is again, using your plans, building your plans, and then they go to the power station, try and fight Gozer, lose, and that's when they're caught off balance. And that's also a great place to have the end of Act 2, where everything emotionally is all screwy for them. And they have to get back on their own 2 feet. And usually the way to do that is through emotionally. So they should be talking to each other and being like, I need you, you need me, let's do this.
Okay, then let's do it this way. So when they're in the apartment, the intrigue and things that we can have is figuring out if Toph's actually real, where she's from, and also how she got here. Mm-hmm. Okay? Toph can want to go take Gozer. Matt can forcibly take her and be like, I'm your legal counsel. We're going to get you home. And I promise you I will deal with this.
Yeah.
Somehow. Okay. Toph's like, I don't believe you. He's like, I can do it. Whatever. Doesn't matter. So they go to the occult convention. Mm-hmm. While they're there, the guy's like, I think I can take you home. It seems like the book is really working now. There's something here that really connects it.
Yeah.
But what they don't know is that every time he uses the ritual magic with Gozer on the same plane as him, it is like a beacon to this book, to more of her power, to Gozer.
Again, that's setting up new rules as to how it works for her.
Well, we already set up the rules of the ritual magic taps into her power.
No, we set up the rules of the ritual magic brought her to this plane of existence.
Yeah,
That's it. Doesn't help with her power.
Well, but it taps into her. The magic that you can use with ritual magic is by tapping into a piece of her power.
That's 2 sources of power. That's my problem.
What do you mean?
If the book brought her into this dimension, that was his intention. He's like, sees this spell of like bringing this ancient Gozer into this place and bringing hell upon this earth.
But then that means that he's the bad guy.
He is a pawn bad guy. He is, he's not the antagonist, but he is basically kind of, what's the word? He's kind of
like a patsy?
Yeah, a patsy.
See, I was playing under the imagination intention that he didn't want to summon Gozer. He wanted to do a higher level spell of like warping reality all around him, but he didn't know that that was actually going to open a hole that would summon Gozer into this woman's body.
Yeah, but the intention was he wanted to hurt that reporter.
I thought he wanted to impress her because the magic he was doing wasn't impressive. Mm-hmm. And so he's like, then let me show you something that will impress you. I will warp reality all around you and change everything you see right now. He does this big spell, and he looks down.
And he doesn't realize what he's opening.
And he's like, nothing's happened. And then he looks up, and her eyes are different. He's like, what? And that's how Gozer gets through.
Okay, but that still is that's still implying the same thing. Opened a portal and brought Gozer in.
Because he was using her power. Like, think about it this way. So the book, when you use the power in a ritual magic book, the book itself doesn't have power.
Yeah.
But the words and the things that you use connect to a being on a different plane, and it takes a little of their power.
Okay, so that's the thing, though. That's what I'm talking about, the rules. Like, you're talking about it connects to Gozer itself.
Yes.
I'm saying the book opens a portal where Gozer is, and she gets out.
The nature of Gozer's power is that she can open portals.
Problem is, no, I don't. That doesn't work to me.
Okay.
She would look for that book.
Yeah, if
she would grab that. The first thing she would do is grab that book if that's her power. Again, the problem I have is that.
Yeah, I get it. When she comes through,
if that were her source of power, she'd grab the book. I don't want the book to be the MacGuffin.
I don't want it to be either. So I'm not saying that.
I mean, it is the MacGuffin, but it's the MacGuffin of her demise.
Right.
It got her here. It's going to take her out.
What I'm saying is, when you use it, it's not necessarily like. It's not like by having that book, she's going to have more power.
Right.
It's that when you use it, it's like, how do I explain this? You know that thing where you say like, oh, my ears are burning, like someone must be talking about me before I get there. You ever heard that expression?
No.
Okay. Or like, speak of the devil, there they are.
She can feel so you're talking about she feels a connection to the book.
When someone uses it.
Then what does that, how does that help her?
Well.
Again, if it's not a source of power.
It doesn't help her.
Yeah.
But it alights to her that there's another piece of her on this plane.
Okay.
Which she might not have known about. She came through, and maybe she's thinking, if I can get this book, I might be able to gather more energy.
That's the thing. I don't think that the book should be a source of energy in any way, shape, or form.
Okay, but could
it's
she...
just a portal. We got to keep it really, really simple.
Yeah.
Her motivation should be one-fold. Get more power.
Right.
Goal is
and not get kicked back.
Take over the world.
Would she know that
now,
the book...
we could do a thing where she feels a connection to that book because Matt Murdock says, this is your chance to go. So just go. We'll handle it. And she resigns herself and says, all right, I will. I'll go. Then they start using the book. The portal opens, and she feels that and sees it as a threat, saying they just opened a portal.
And they can use portals to
kick me out.
So that's why she goes to take the book.
She comes back from the power plant and attacks.
Yes.
And then we have our fight.
Yes.
Perfect.
Oh, God. Oh.
This is what Garrett and I deal with all the time, and that's why we created Story Builders.
Where's the Denny's? I need my Denny's. But yeah, I like that because the only reason Toph would go is if Matt agrees to be Daredevil. If he agrees to take the power into his own hands and fix it.
Yeah.
Well, because God damn it, she'll come back.
And it would be even great if she stole the book right there and then.
Gozer?
No, yeah, Gozer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
Because they get bested.
Right.
Because Matt doesn't want to jump into the fight because there are people around and he doesn't want to give up his identity or whatever. Toph is getting in there.
Right.
And getting beat.
Right.
And then Matt finally jumps in to save her, but doesn't really fight.
Right.
And then that's why they have the emotional falling out. Because Toph's like, why weren't you fighting? And he's like, well, there were people around, and I'm not that guy anymore.
Right.
I just want to protect you.
Yeah. Gozer feels power of book, portal opening, comes to Khan, and attacks. Steals book. Toph and Matt are injured.
Oh, man, that was... Oof.
They experience brownouts. Hear the news about power plant.
It's funny to think we need that. I mean, they could talk about it in the apartment.
Yeah, they could. We could move that.
Yeah, that way, because then Toph would be like, look, you can see we can follow her.
See, that's the nice thing about these scene cards. Is you get to move stuff around.
Blake, what's his name?
Snyder. Yep. He's not the only one who thought of that. It's not just his idea.
Yeah,
this is what a lot of writers do all the time.
Blake Snyder.
Blake Snyder, yeah. Rest in peace.
R.I.P. man. But yeah, they can talk about it because Toph would want to be raring to go, and Matt's like, no. We also need to figure out how you got here and get you home.
Right. So it happens at the apartment.
Yes.
Okay. Brownouts happen. They check the news. Toph wants to run in and fight. Matt wants to keep investigating.
So he lures her to the occult con.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe she'll be there.
Right.
And then they talk to this
feels
guy
powerful.
who is like super freaked out, and
Yeah.
everybody's leaving the occult con. No one's listening to his story, and he could have been telling everybody there. And Matt goes, "Has anything strange happened lately?" And the lady goes, "Yeah, there's this guy who like is freaked out and has been freaked out for like 3 days.
Right.
We're trying to get rid of him, but he won't pack up his stuff." And
Okay.
go talk to that guy.
So then Gozer shows up, feels the power of the book. Portal opening, comes to con and attacks, steals book. Mott and Taff.
Montaf.
Mott and Taff.
Mottaf.
Toph and Matt are injured. So next scene, let's just say they go back to Matt's apartment, recuperate.
Yeah, they recoup Matt because remember, Toph is going to be doing most of the fighting, but it's incorporeal. She can't see it. Matt
Right.
can't see it. Matt saves her. Both get injured, take her back.
Okay, so their recuperation, they get into a fight. Word fight.
Word fight.
And basically Toph accuses Matt of not.
Of being weak. And
Yeah.
all that stuff. Matt can go brood on the roof while she recuperates inside the apartment.
Being weak. Matt rejects. Goes on roof. Feeling conflicted.
Looking down at his 2 red Saf things.
Toph has a heart-to-heart. Matt opens up to her. They make up and decide to fight Gozer.
Figure out where she's going to go.
Yes. So that's the next scene.
This is in the 3rd act now.
We are now in the 3rd act. Yeah.
We are
Matt's
now.
apartment was the end of the 2nd act.
In the 3rd act.
We're-
Snyder.
And we're at 12 cards. This could get pretty long. This could turn into like 30 pages. This could be interesting.
That might be a little too long.
Might be. We'll have to see. Well, when we get the first script written, we'll definitely go over, like, we'll do a reading, and then we'll go over what we don't like and and if it's just too long. I mean, it's a pretty involved story, though.
It is a very involved story.
So I don't think we should be afraid of it being too long. I just feel like as long as it feels like the pacing is right.
Yeah, no, agreed.
Yeah.
It's funny when we're talking and it's like things aren't working. It's hard to get to the next part of the story.
Right.
We're like, how does that happen? And then once an idea hits, and we're like, oh, and then the next part of the story just goes, there I am.
Well, that's the logic of it. You want it to be organic.
Yeah.
You want it to feel like it just makes sense for them to be where they're at.
Yeah, love that.
Yeah.
Shout out again to Coppertown for bringing up Gozer as the villain. That's
Coppertoon,
awesome.
yeah.
Coppertoon.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a great idea. All right, so are they going to kind of like plot out where she might go next in Matt's apartment? Or where are they going to go?
I think Matt's apartment's a good idea.
Okay, so we'll just keep it in Matt's apartment.
How are they going to cancel out Gozer's ability to create incorporeal beasts they can't see?
So their plan should be proactive, and basically they should be using tactics that to defend themselves from her. They should be like, here's what we got to do. We've got to ground her and make it so she's not able to access power. It's like, okay, what if she creates one of these beasts? It's like, then I'll create distractions. The really fun thing about this is that if she has overwhelming power, then you have to use the resources around you because you don't have that power. So if Toph is busy using powers which are far superior to Matt's, but the Gozer starts creating distractions that make it so Toph can't concentrate, then it's up to Matt to distract those distractions. So let's say she creates a monster and it's coming after Toph, then basically Matt will be like, over here, come on, over here.
I like that idea. I think we can incorporate more sound.
Totally.
Because that's an advantage they have over Gozer. is that they can communicate through vibration. So I think what could be really fun is if Toph is engaging Gozer, and Matt is like, and she is sending subtle messages to Matt through her earth bending and her metal bending, pinging certain items, making it flash in certain ways to show where Gozer's going to look next.
Yeah.
That way Matt can come in and get her. Like, remember when Toph fought Aang in the Last Airbender series? She moved the dirt away from his foot as he was going to step back.
Yeah.
Like, that's the little kinds of things they can do.
Yeah.
Because they can map her whole body.
Totally. And I feel like I just had this idea of, like, you know, what'd be really cool is, oh, fucking A. This is so difficult to do without visuals. But we can still kind of pull it off where...
Watch your language.
I know. We're kind of bad this episode. I'm going to have to change it to explicit. I just had this kind of vision of a couple of things. One is, the way that a fight works, it's almost like a 3-act story in itself.
Sure.
You have a beginning, middle, and end, and like the beginning is how things start, the middle is how things are going, the end of Act 2, things are looking dire, and then the third act, they prevail. Right? So fight scenes work the same way as a regular story. I just had these two visions. The first is where Toph says something that gets Gozer's attention and makes her go, oh, I know how to take care of you, and turns everything into water. And Toph is like, it's like, not only is it raining, but it's flooding, and she can't see anything. And she's like, I can't see. And Matt goes, don't worry about it. I can see everything.
Yes! Oh, man, that's awesome.
And then the other thing that I had was he can do things where he can actually have a good fight with Gozer. And basically get it so Gozer can't concentrate on creating water anymore. The water disappears, and he manages to get somehow Gozer into the right place, tell the guy to create the portal, and then tells Toph to basically give me a leg up. And then she uses earthbending to lift him high enough to get to Gozer, kick her out. And then
I love that.
Then they win.
I have an idea.
Yeah, go for it.
So Gozer uses water and rain, right? So
yes.
Matt gets in there and starts kicking the shit out of Gozer. So she reaches into his head and she manifests his father, the boxer, to fight for her. So Matt has to fight his dad.
Oh shit.
To get through his dad to get to Gozer. Isn't that horrible?
That is horrible.
But perfect.
Yeah.
And then Matt could say something like, I don't know, I've been fighting for this man my whole life.
It doesn't even have to be like a really heavy duty character moment. It can almost be like she does it to try and put fear in him, and he's like, actually, you just reminded me what I'm fighting for.
Yes.
So put up your dukes.
Yes, I love that. I love that. Oh, man.
And that really helps his arc. That's what I love, is when the physical and the emotional come together.
Yes.
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 That's really good.
Yes.
Okay, good.
Oh, man, that
awesome.
was fun. Oh, dude, yeah. I'm so excited.
Yes. Okay, so Matt's apartment, we still have to figure out the logic of where everything is coming from.
Yeah, of course.
But Matt's apartment, they are thinking about where Gozer could go. And they're like, they bring up power plants. And they mentioned she does have the book right now. That's another thing we need to solve. If she has the book, then...
The book is more of a fail-safe for her not to get kicked out.
Yeah, I feel like we should set up that she doesn't know what to do with it.
Well,
she just knows that if she's holding on to it, no one can create portals.
I don't think the book is that magical.
Well, it's magical if you know how to read it, how to use it. So she could... Her whole thing is to just get powerful enough, and she has her own powers. She doesn't really need the book.
No, right.
The other question is, why hasn't she burned the book? Why did she destroy it? So,
okay.
Well, that's not a big deal, because the guy can just remember what the incantation was.
Yeah, that, or... Let's look at it this way. The book is just a piece of her. It's like a little conduit to her. Yeah. It's like her chip into this earth.
Yeah.
Right? It's let's say I'd say it's her anchor into this earth. That's how she gets in. That's something that helps keep her here. It's a piece of her. So she has to keep the book with her because it is a piece of her. She doesn't want to destroy it. You wouldn't want to destroy a piece of yourself. And it's also a way that people could create portals and potentially harm her. So she keeps it with her.
Right. And she could say, like, I don't understand how to use it right now, but give me time and I'll figure out how to use this book.
And that could be their way to get
That's her motivation. She sees it as a possible source of extra power.
Of like how when she gets her full power, she can then, I mean, she just needs to get her full power, but having the book is like, I think, her anchor into this world.
If she gets her full power, everyone loses.
Yes.
So she's in the process of getting her full power when she's at Stark Tower.
And I think that the book is just this like little piece of her, right? That anchors her into this world. Yeah. So when the way they can get Gozer at the end is if they distract her by giving her the book, like they get it back in the fight, they give it back to her, she thinks that she's won, then the guy opens the portal from memory, and they kick both of them out, which removes Gozer
and the book
entirely from the world.
Yeah, but if Gozer's holding on to the book in the other dimension, she's going to figure out how to use it eventually. I would say that...
But it only works on Earth.
Why?
Oh, well, we can't do that either way because then he can't send Toph back.
Yeah. The way I see it is that it's like the Elder Wand. I actually agreed with the Elder Wand's destruction in the movies more so than the book. Because he just put it back in Dumbledore's grave in the book. And I was like, yeah, but someone else can get it. He snapped it in half in the movie. I'm like, yeah, that's the right thing to do. So that's what I'm thinking is that he gets the book. I'm thinking that it happens really fast. Like he fights Gozer, manages to get the book out of his hands. Toph uses earthbending to throw that book at the guy. He says, open the portal now. He does the incantation, and Matt is like, lift me up. And then lifts him up with earthbending. He jumps off, uses the momentum to kick her into the portal that he just created. Like, the timing has to be fast.
Right, and then they get the portal open. But then they have to use that same portal to send Toph home.
Yeah, and once she's out, then everything's back to normal. And they have the time they need to create the new portal and send Toph home. He's still got the book in his hands after Toph is gone.
The book uses her power to work. And the last time they used enough power to open a portal, that's how Gozer came through.
That's true. So it's an easy write-off of like, I said a couple of words wrong, and that's why Gozer came through in the first place. So now I fully understand it. And I just got to see.
Now this guy can just open portals.
Now this guy, and what he's going to do is he's going to send Toph through. They're going to say their goodbyes, and he's like, "That's pretty useful." He's like, "Thanks, man." Takes the book and like tears it apart.
Yes.
It's like,
don't do. But then the guy's going to memorize. Like, no, he's going to know this stuff.
Oh no, he's going to arrest him.
Matt's going to arrest him?
Matt's going to arrest him, and he's going to be like, "Welcome to the club of mutants, of superpowered people. We have a nice juicy cell just for you."
But he didn't do it on purpose.
Yes, he did. The intention was on purpose. The effect was by mistake.
So we're still playing that this is like, he does it in the beginning to hurt this reporter.
No, the intent was he wanted to dazzle her. The consequence is that he's possessed her with Gozer.
So I think that's kind of not fair to this guy. Like, he did it on accident.
Okay, yeah. So maybe he shouldn't be arrested. Ugh, it gets into like law and shit. I think that's where we need to figure out his arc too. Like, so what is he learning?
He needs to learn that it's like, this power is not worth dabbling in. There are things already in this world you can use.
Yeah, but it doesn't really answer how he was disrespectful to her and she was disrespectful to him, and he's kind of this douchebag. So we just need to figure out how he understands that his douchebagginess got us all into this, and maybe he shouldn't be a douchebag.
So maybe then his arc at the end is for him to tear the book up himself.
Okay, I like that. That's good.
And vow to just not use it again.
That's good.
And he's like, God, I you know what? I should go back to being a doctor.
Yeah. I think there needs to be some sort of hope for him that he can learn how to deal. Like, if I'm going to go with this incel thing, I might just not. But some sort of hope for him that he can be better with women.
Yeah, or just be a better person in general.
Yeah, but be better with women is more specific.
Yeah, yeah.
All right. You know, it just helps if his arc is specific rather than being a good person. That he's
Yeah,
more
it's
specifically better with women.
Right. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
We can work with that. All right. We're really close to being ready to write. So.
We're so close.
Yes. My question is, we said this earlier, and I think we should just stick with it. But where's like, I should just write on my own, or should we write while we're on the air?
Well, how much do you like watching Justin type on his keyboard?
No, we would go back and forth.
I mean,
we would do this for where we're writing.
The best
together.
way it happens when we do the Great Wizarding War is that you write out the episode, and then I come in with notes.
That's true.
And then we talk it out. I think we should just that is what works for us.
Yeah, that's true.
And we should just, if it ain't broke, don't broke it.
True. All right, and that's what I'll do. I'll start writing this.
And you can patent that. If it ain't broke, don't broke it.
Okay, cool.
Garrett Schweighauser.
Awesome. All right, man. Let's get started.
Godspeed.
Yes, sir.
Woo! Excited.
Yeah. And we're getting pretty close to needing to cast this thing. So let's start pondering that. And then
we got to do some Gozer Toph research.
Yeah, we do. We'll go over that. But I'll go ahead and write the script.
Okay.
And then
I'll do my research.
We'll compare notes.
All right.
Awesome.
Story builders.
Story builders. Building stories so you don't have to.
Ta-da!
All right, we'll see you guys next time.